Thank you. I have been muted all this time and just been talking. Thank you, JaVale, for letting the brother know that I was muted. But if you can hear me now, just give me a thumbs up. You can hear me now, give me a thumbs up. Thank you. My prayer is that you have had a awesome Christmas experience on yesterday with your family, and pray that you were safe and that you didn't put yourself in jeopardy or anyone else. I just wanted to kind of come on real quick and just kind of talk for a moment from my heart about some things that are going on, two particular things on this Saturday afternoon. One is this coming runoff election here in Georgia, and the second one is the vaccine. The vaccine. So let's see, which one do I want to talk about first? I don't know. Y'all tell me. What you want me to talk about first, the vaccine or the election in Georgia? So, and you could talk about this regardless of where you're from or where you're living, the election or the vaccine. Okay. Hey, Nicole. Hey there. All right. Well, let me just go ahead and start with this vaccine. So today, the CDC has recorded that they have that there's been 2 million doses of this vaccine given out in the United States of America. That's a lot. That is certainly a lot. It falls well short of what they said they had planned on. When I say the government had planned to be given by, I think by the end of this month, their goal is to have 20 million people would have received their first dose of the vaccination. Hey, Nicole. Hey. So yeah, their goal is to have about 20 million people. So today, 2 million, it's a lot, but it's only a fraction of what they said that would have been given by this point. And this first vaccination would, I think, is by Pfizer. I don't know how many of these 2 million doses. I think all of them, but were by Pfizer, and I believe the Pfizer dose vaccine calls for you to be given the vaccination twice, once at the very beginning, and then I think the second one maybe in a couple of weeks' time. I don't have all the full details on that. Today, I know of one particular person who have received a vaccination, and she is a brave soul. I'm not going to say her name. She can let folk know if she wants to, but she has received the vaccination. African American sister. Okay, I'll leave it at that. And the reason I want to talk about the vaccination is really this. Not to my wife. Let me just say this: my wife has been saying you've been trying to convince people to take this vaccination, and I was like, no, I haven't. No, I haven't. She says, well, you haven't told them directly, but kind of in your communication and what you've been talking, they can tell where you're leaning, and that's not really been my intent. So maybe yeah, you can, and I unintentionally or subconsciously communicated to you all kind of what I thought about the vaccination and all of that. And but it was not Robin. That's all you're talking about. She was nervous. No, I'm not telling you to take it or not to take it. But I do want to share some of my thoughts around that. It's a difficult, decision that you have to make, and I believe that you have to make the decision that's in the best interest of you and your family and your loved ones, right? The decision for the May household is different than the decision in your May household, right? I mean, it's just so many things. Our household looks different than others. It looks similar in other ways as well. But, if you're single with no kids at home, etc., that decision is different than if you're married with, a house full of kids, or it may look different if you're married with a household of kids that are older, young adults, or it may look different if you have some previous medical conditions that this may have a challenge with. So everybody's decision has to be their own, right? And one thing I don't want to see people do is pressure people to do or not to do the vaccine, to receive it or not to receive it. Again, I think it's unfair, out in social media world and all of that. You know how it is, especially on social media. People, they got that social media courage, right? They be blasting people online and knowing that full well you wouldn't say that to somebody's face. But both either way, however you feel about it is how you feel, and the decisions that you come down to is your decision. But I do want you to just, take some time to think it through, to pray about it, to discuss it with your family, and those in your close circle. I would even say to just talk about it so that you can ultimately make the decision that's best for you. Um, one of the things, and I hadn't posted this yet. It's just trying to leading up to Christmas. We were doing all these things with the church, and the Thanksgiving meal giveaway, and the Christmas bike and toy giveaway, and the utility assistance and rental and mortgage assistance program that we've been launched. There's been a lot going on, and trying to get ready for our own Christmas in the May household. But I was actually invited to be on a call of a group of pastors, African American pastors from around the country, and it was like so cool for me personally. So y'all know me. I've been in a room with the big name people, big wealth people, all that. I've been in a room with the president, and well, not this president, uh, our old president. How about that? But and so if you know me, that doesn't really move me much. Being in rooms with people, getting autographs, saying that taking pictures with them. As a matter of fact, I do a horrible job of that. I'm like the anti-picture taker in those meetings, and on one hand, I mean that's cool. On the other hand, you know, there's no proof that I was in the room, right? My kids want to see these pictures and things like that. But I got a chance to be on a webinar with a group of pastors around the country who I've looked up to, some of the biggest names, some of the most influential people as well. But that meeting was called, really, I don't know who actually called the meeting, but the primary facilitators on that call was Dr. Anthony Fauci. We've seen him all on the news just about every day. Dr. Robert Friedman, a former director of the CDC under the Obama administration, and I believe her first name is Nancy Messonnier. And those are three of the preeminent kind of people who have been all on the news talking about this pandemic and all of that. And the primary focus of that call was talking to the African American community, through this venue, through African American pastors, about the vaccine. And they talked to us about, the process to developing the vaccine, the process of getting the vaccine approved, and all of that, and to let us know that it wasn't done in a vacuum. It wasn't done as a political pressure or things like that. There's all of these very sophisticated processes that has to go along to make sure that it's safe, and to make sure that people, of course, have confidence in it as well. So it was a really, really good meeting. And the thing that I was most impressed with is that all three of the professionals, but it started off with Dr. Fauci. He leaned right in to acknowledge the fact that in the African American community, our level of confidence with science and with things like vaccines is much lower than the overall country, because of our history, because of racism, because of things like the Tuskegee experiment and other discrimination in the medical professionals, and racism and medical care and things like that. So he acknowledged it. He leaned right into it and said, "Hey, I get it, and I understand, and you're right for feeling that way." It was good and refreshing just to hear him say that. Just that we're not wrong for feeling the way that we do. And if you're black in this country and you know anything about history, and you got parents and grandparents and great grandparents, you know what it is, right? And so he acknowledged that, but he didn't want us just to stay there. Again, acknowledging the fact that these are all individual solutions, but he wanted to give us some level of confidence in the development of this vaccine and its approval as well. I felt really good about it, actually, about the conversation and all of that. And again, I got a little conspiracy theorist theory, in my mind to say, that I always look at, okay, what could be done to hurt the black community or wipe the black community out or something like that, knowing that's just my pessimistic and just kind of some unrealistic kind of thinking, but he leaned right into kind of the thinking like that and all that. So I say all that to say it's really good conversation. One of the things he opened up with was to say this, and you might have heard this, is that the vaccine that was approved, Pfizer's vaccine, the first vaccine approved by the FDA, was developed. The leading researcher on that vaccine was a sister, y'all, an African American young sister named Dr. Kismethia, I hope I'm saying that right. They call her Dr. Kizzy Corbett. And I was like, well, you should have started off with that. Like every conversation you have in the black community, you need to say, the vaccine was created by a black woman, right? Just to help begin to give us a level of confidence in the vaccine. So Dr. Kizzy Corbett was one of the lead developers on this vaccine. That gave me some confidence too, right? Because it's good to know that somebody that looks like me, I don't know how she talks, but I'm gonna say talks like me, that maybe have some shared experiences as me, was right there a part and leading the effort in this vaccine. So that was major for me. As a matter of fact, I told them, I said, you need to take her out of the lab now, because the vaccine is only one part. It's the vaccinations that really begins to resolve this problem. So it's one thing to have a vaccine, but if people don't have confidence in it, then how good is it really? So I was like, you need to take her out of the lab. She's done an awesome job, right, in this. Take her out of the lab and put her on the road. She needs to go talk to as many communities, particularly in the African American community. Dr. Kismethia Corbett, y'all let me know if I'm not saying her name right, but Dr. Kizzy Corbett was one of the lead developers of this vaccine. Put her on a roll, let people see her face. And here's an amazing thing about her too. Not only that she is an African American woman, she's 34 years old, y'all, which means she is probably borderline genius. She is 34 years old, and I just think that's just amazing that she was a part of that. So just again, going back to this vaccine, y'all know we've been through a year. We have been through a year. 10 solid months of our life being turned upside down, you all. And we've been looking to this vaccine. We've been looking to being on the other side of this thing where we could come back out and gather and spend Thanksgiving and Christmas with our family, our loved ones in person like we normally, would. Honestly, I believe that the vaccine is a part of that solution. It is not the only solution, but it's a part of it. And again, I think what Dr. Fauci told us is about 70 to 75%, I believe, of America essentially has to take this vaccine in order for us to have what do they call a herd immunity, or where it really, really makes a difference in making sure that we get on the other side of this thing. So again, just take some time, y'all. Think about it. Do your research. Read, study, pray. Pray, right? Pray. I'm sorry. I don't know why my nose is itching. Like my wife right now. If she watching this, she gonna kill me. But just pray about it. Think about it. In social media, it's not a time to be arguing for or against it. Just if you're gonna talk about it, just say everybody got to make their own decision, right? And all these social media, quote unquote, influencers, everybody got an opinion about this thing. Just don't get in these fights with them, but just begin to make this decision. Now, the reality is, you and me, us regular folk who are not first responders, emergency care workers, doctors, nurses, people that work in hospitals, things like that, the elderly, we're going to be way behind them. So I don't think even for people like me, it likely won't be even an opportunity for me to take it until I don't know, April, May, June, who knows. And so, and that means for those of us who are not in one of those categories, you got some time, but don't wait till it's available to be trying to figure out what you're going to do. Think about it now, and then just watch. like I said, I'm be watching my friend who took the vaccine. I'll be looking at her, just make sure she's straight, seeing how she feels, things like that. So anyway, that's the one thing. The vaccine, I think, y'all, the reality is this: this country has not done good by us over the course of history, specifically in things like the Tuskegee experiment and so many other things. And so that's real. That is real. But don't let our past um, freeze us in time right now. Don't let it paralyze us. Let's be looking forward and be informed and have a little confidence as well. All right. So that's the vaccine. Second thing is this runoff election. Y'all know I've been on this. It's been really for the past few months now. Really been um, intentional about talking about this runoff election to the point that I've kind of pulled together. I created a campaign with a group of pastors in DeKalb County, the DeKalb Pastors Christian Alliance, to really make sure that we have people who turn out for this runoff election. Because we want people to show up and vote. It's nonpartisan, it's not affiliated with any candidate. Now, the reality is, when I was in political office, I ran as a Democrat and all that. I lean towards the Democratic Party. It is what it is. But this campaign is nothing about that, right? This is about having people, our people, show up to vote on this, on or before this runoff election on January the 5th. And it's critical, y'all. It's critical. Every election is funny because they always say this is the most important election of our generation or of our time, and they're right. Every election it is, right, because you're determining the leadership, the direction, and even the public policy. Even though you're not voting directly for public policy, who you elect is going to have a direct connection on the public policy that's passed, or and is moving things forward. So if you're watching this, I'm probably preaching to the choir, no pun intended. It's on our church Facebook page. But this is not for you. It is for you to be intentional about sharing. You can share this post, share it, forward it, copy the link and move forward. You can send a text message to your 5 least likeliest people in your phone book, in your contacts in Georgia, and say, hey, please go vote. Election day is January the 5th. Please go vote. And I want you to just really be intentional about sharing this message of voting. Here's the reality. For our community, we win when people come out to vote. When people show up and vote in large numbers, we win. And what does win look like? Win looks like people coming out to express their desire to determine who our leadership is. It doesn't mean that a Democrat or a Republican is going to win. It doesn't mean that your particular candidate is going to win. But when we come out to vote in large numbers, that means a good reflection of this country is being represented through our elections, in our vote. And so I really, really want us to really push that. And the reality is, elections have consequences. We should have seen that for the past 4 years, regardless of what you feel about President Trump. Elections have consequences. And there was a whole lot of people who didn't show up to vote in 2016, who showed up 4 years prior in 2012. And as a result of that, the election turned out the way that it did. Who knows if it would have turned out differently if more people would have showed up to vote, but we'll never know. And this election in 2020, because there was a great number of people a record-breaking number of people who showed up to vote, you had a change in the presidency. It is what it is. Now, this election coming up on January the 5th, for those who think the elections only occur every 4 years, is for 2 runoff elections for the United States Senate, one runoff election for a public service commissioner position in Georgia, and those, all 3 of those are important positions. The 2 U.S. Senate seats are critical because the United States Senate is virtually a tie between Democrats and Republicans, and so this election will determine if there will be 54 Republicans, no, 52 Republicans and 48 Democrats in the United States Senate, or whether it would be 50 Democrats and 50 Republicans, right? That changes things. It being 52 versus 48 or 50-50, right? That definitely changes things. And let me tell you why. So 52 Republicans and 48, which means the Republicans will have control in the United States Senate. So when the President-elect Joe Biden becomes the president, Joe Biden wants to get things done. He wants to get certain policies passed. He wants to get the budget approved in certain ways. It has to be voted on in both chambers of Congress, both chambers of Congress, the United States House of Representatives and the United States Senate. So if it passes out the United States House of Representatives, it then goes over to the United States Senate, and so the United States Senate would have to approve what came over from the United States House of Representatives, or shoot it down, right? And so if the president wants something to go through the House, it goes through the House, then it goes over to the Senate. And if the Senate says, no, we don't want that, then what the president wants doesn't happen, right? It is reality. So if the United States Senate is at a 50-50 tie, guess what'll happen? The vice president of the United States is technically the president of the Senate. Don't worry about all the complications around that, but it's technically the president of the Senate. In case of a tie in the United States Senate, 50-50, right? The vice president of the United States will be the tiebreaker. Yeah, Kamala Harris, the vice president-elect, who will be the vice president, then will be the tiebreaker in any tied votes in the United States Senate. That would make her one of the most powerful vice presidents in recent history. That is big, right? That is big. I'll just leave it at that. Can you imagine this sister breaking ties in a house that doesn't really reflect, in the United States Senate, that doesn't really even reflect people of color in this nation, or any kind of diversity in this nation? So I'm saying all that to say is this really makes a difference. Let me give you a prime example. Right now, the House has voted to approve a stimulus package, basically to help us during this COVID pandemic. The Senate has that bill, and I believe it's been passed out of the Senate, but the president has not signed it yet, because he's saying the $600 stimulus checks that will go out to every American is not enough. He's saying it should be like $2,000 for every adult, right? Now, the problem is the president was never involved in these negotiations. He refused to get involved with it. So now, after a deal had been cut, now he's throwing salt in the game. That's another issue right there and there. But there could have been even more money put in there in the United States Senate side had the Senate been comprised of something completely different in terms of the difference between the Democrats and the Republicans. And so if it was in a situation where it was a 50-50 tie, remember, the vice president would be the person who would be breaking the tie. And we could have had a stimulus package by now. That's all I'm saying. We could have had a stimulus package done right now. Regardless of what the numbers look like and all of that, there could have been something that the president could have signed, and people could be helped right now. So anyway, I know I've been talking a little long. I don't know if I expected to talk all this time, but just make sure you get out there to vote. Your vote has consequences, right? Elections have consequences, and so we want every registered voter in Georgia to vote on or before January the 5th. Now, you can go to iwillvote.com right now, iwillvote.com right now, to find where you can go vote early or where you can vote on election day on January the 5th, okay? Please do that. Please pay attention, and please take advantage of this right that we have to vote. All right? I think I'm done, y'all. I just really want to come in and talk for a little bit on a Saturday afternoon. I pray all is well with you and your family. Have an amazing day. God bless you. And make sure you tune in tomorrow at 10 a.m. Guess what? First Lady Robin is ministering the final word of 2020. She is wrapping this 2020 year up in a bow, and she's beginning to point us forward to 2021, y'all. And so you don't want to miss that. 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. She'll be on. Please don't miss worship. Share with your friends. Come worship with us. And as always, y'all, we miss you to life. We can't wait to get back in doing life face to face, hugging, giving a fist bump, a pound, laughing, just enjoying one another face to face. All right, y'all. Love y'all. Take care. God bless you.